Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So this is where we get into the discussion about breaking the law and for the side of justice or for the side of populism or whatever between specifically Stephen, but Stephen and Elise and Ned. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because Stephen is really getting on a high horse here, and I find it to be pretty problematic, as it were. What do
Oh,
you think, Scott?
I agree. I agree because Ned gives this great speech of why he did what he did, and he's comparing it to what Elise and Stephen did.
Back in
As
the
far as
60s.
back in the 60s, he's like, I took a stand too. All right, I couldn't see all these people, getting fired, so I drew my line in the sand and I said no. And Tom Hanks delivers it great. I wanted to stand up and applaud. It was awesome. It was so good. Such a great character shift. It was awesome.
You could have applauded. I'm sure, sitting in your apartment, you could have done that.
I could have. It felt weird and awkward though too, and yeah, but I wanted to. But I agree. It is a little problematic because Stephen and Alicia and Stephen especially is on a high horse about we never broke the law. Did
It's
they?
like, and then Ned, without missing a beat, of course, says, "But during the '68 Democratic National Committee thing in Chicago, were you in prison or jail because you couldn't find a hotel for the night?" And that's the
Right,
interesting
exactly.
thing, is that, and then Ned really gets lights into Stephen and is like, "Oh no, this is," and Stephen's like, "This is different," and Ned's like, "Oh, when you did it, it was fashionable." And he totally has Stephen dead to rights, in my opinion. Like, yeah, what he's doing, they got arrested multiple times for protesting, as the FBI said, so that's illegal. And Stephen, once again, proves that he's not as liberal as he says that he is, or that he thinks in his own mind that he is, and it's really annoying.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. And Stephen, it's like you said, Stephen did break the law, and we know that because in the last episode, when we saw the FBI handed him a report saying he had been arrested 3 times. So,
Right.
Stephen, yeah, you did break the law too, just like Ned.
Exactly.
Get off your high
To
horse.
me, it smacks of that that Stephen as a character, or maybe Gary David Goldberg, when he's creating this argument, isn't imaginative enough to see that there are different types of civil disobedience. That what Ned is going up against is corporate Wall Street. That there's a lot of moving parts to it. Things like the if you tried to explain to somebody how the Great Recession worked and why that happened, it's not going to be as easy as saying we were against the Vietnam War and we went out and protested in the streets and then we got arrested and blah, 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 blah. What Ned's doing is much more complex, and the world in 1982 was much more complex than it was in 68. And for Stephen not to get that, it's really indicative of just how far the left had fallen in 1982.
Very true. And it's kind of annoying that they don't give Ned any credit for doing this because
he makes a compelling case, but it's not respected by the show.
Exactly. And especially the 2 characters that should at least give him some credit and respect for making a stand don't.
Yeah.
Like they can't, they could be, it's fine if you want to write them disappointed of how Ned did this because maybe they don't understand, but to not say, Ned, I see what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. You're just, they don't even give him that.
No, they don't. Not at all.
Which is a little annoying. I agree. So yeah, Ned makes this great case. It's not really respected, by Stephen. And because they write Stephen more just upset about how childish Ned is. But I don't think Ned's that childish. He's had a very successful career. He's smart enough to make a stand. Is something that Stephen probably would have done at Ned's age.
Right. Oh, well, that's what they're doing in this second part of the show, of the episode, is that they're really trying to backpedal and make it all about Ned's immaturity or whatever, that they start really amping up how much Elise remembers him as a little kid and that she's always taking care of him when he gets into scrapes and stuff like that. In the first episode, that's not really a big deal. So in the second part, instead of discussing the political and social ramifications of what's going on. They just turn it into this like chamber drama about like letting your little brother grow up. Like I don't get that at all. It seems like it cuts the legs out of the interesting first part of the episode.
Right. It's like, are we going to get to how this whole thing's resolved? And that just keeps delaying it. Yeah.
Right.
Because that, I mean, and it's something that they keep harping on. Yeah. It's something that they keep harping on, but we can clearly kind of get that impression already. Without even having to say it, we kind of get Elise's taking care of Ned just by their characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it. So then we get to Ned and Alex having breakfast and talking. And
yeah, they're perpetually the Keatons going forward. They are perpetually eating breakfast. These Keatons.
Oh my God! I think my note on here is like there is a lot of cereal on that table.
Yeah,
if you want some cereal,
I never ate breakfast. Like I still really don't, and it's because the Keatons did it all for me. I was like, they've got it taken covered. They've eaten enough breakfast that I never have to.
The selection was amazing. It reminded me like back then of you would buy like the 12-pack snack pack of cereals, which you would have a selection of like Cheerios, you know, Apple Jacks, all these cereals like in the 12 packs. There was always one that you hated that you never ate that you put into the back of the pantry. But
cornflakes.
There was just cornflakes for you. I think mine was Raisin Bran.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. What kid did?
Cornflakes were just so boring. There was no sweet anything. They were just bland. At least with the Raisin Bran, you had the raisins.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
I'm not trying to make a
I don't think
you should abandon your taste. I'm just saying
we're going to debate this, Paul.
Yeah. No, damn it. I stood my ground back in '82.
The cornflakes were boring. But, Paul, you don't understand. It's a textural thing in your mouth with the flakes and the raisins. It doesn't taste good.
You need to grow up.
Never. But needless to say, there is a shit ton of breakfast cereals and breakfast items on this table. It almost blocks Michael J. Fox sitting at the table.
Well, funny you should say that, is because in this scene they use all this food, Ned and Alex, to do a sort of symbolic representation of their competing arguments of what was the right thing or wrong thing to do about these 1,800 people.
Yes. And I loved it.
It was fine. It was fine. It was like a nice little fun business scene, but what they're saying versus what they're doing, like they're, you know, taking a banana and talking about negative externalities and, you know, all that kind of stuff and chopping it up. And then, you know, the money that the government will have to pay these people on unemployment, blah, 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 and pouring milk in. None of it has to do, like, it's not indicative of what they're saying.
Yeah, I'll agree. It doesn't really add up to what they're saying. It's great stage business. It doesn't really kind of correlate. But I kept thinking what I liked was it was a great explanation of what kind of what's talked about a lot today with Citizens United and the fact of our corporations people. I thought it gave a really good kind of breakdown of why corporations are not people and why it's stupid to think that they are.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, he makes a point, Ned does, that they do in The Corporation, that documentary about the history of corporations and how they work and when they were created and why and all that stuff. And he says the only thing that corporations worry about is that their earnings each year have to go up, and that it doesn't worry about its effect on the greater populace or any good deeds in the culture. It's all just about the bottom line. And, you know, in the documentary, The Corporation, they say that if a corporation were a person, it would be a sociopath.
Yes.
And, you know, a murderous sociopath. And so, and Ned makes that argument. So kudos to the Family Ties writing staff for getting their shit correct and making a compelling case.
Yeah, it's just a nice simplistic thing because Alex first starts it off by saying, "Oh, look, you got the needs of the people, those workers, and you got the needs of the corporation. They're both equal, and they're not." It was a great way of just simply explaining why they're not. Because a corporation, if it was a person, is a sociopath. They just have one objective, which is to make money. and that involves bending laws, breaking laws, getting lobbyists to shift laws to your side. And if that continues to happen, then you know, it doesn't work.
Yes, and I would say that the only thing I wish there were a situation where in this debate, Michael J. Fox actually said had a better case to make, but he's a kid and he's not supposed to be as smart as Ned, and we're supposed to side with Ned. I feel like this would have been a great point to actually try to make it seem like oh, maybe there is a point to, because, you know, with a corporation, there's so many more thousands of people that you're employing, and that it's a part of a global network, especially the Centram Corporation being the 12th largest in the world. You could have, especially in the 80s, made a point that would have sounded more important or correct. Like, I'm sure the case could be made that helping corporations make more money is a positive for the world.
True. Cool.
Even though I don't believe that, I feel like you could make that case. And they don't.
There is a case, right? Exactly, and they don't. Yeah, there is a case made, but again, trying to just get all this in. But I did like how Tom Hanks just wrapped it up. It was like, case closed, and like it got a round of applause. It was great. It was just so damn charming, Tom Hanks.
Yes. And then another example of the foreshadowing his future career in films. Alex is like, well, Uncle Ned, what are you going to do? Like, now that you're leaving the business world? He's like, oh, I'll go buy a house in the country or something, a white picket fence. And he's like, you know, waxing philosophic. And then he just goes, marry me, Alex. So there you go. That was obviously Joe versus the volcano that he was foreshadowing. Or the Burbs. No, it was the Burbs that he was. It's a cross between Philadelphia and the Burbs. Right. I don't know. Is there anything where Tom Hanks committed incest at any point, or any of his films? I didn't see Polar Express, but is it about that?
You mean a good Christmas story that involves incest? Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen Polar Express either.
Yeah. So you never know. You never know. Write in. Let us know if there's rampant incest.
Write in and let us know. There's rampant incest in any Express or any Tom Hanks movie. Let us know. And then we get to that night in the bedroom with Stephen and Elise. And damn, do they have a fight.
They do.
This is the most realistic fight I think I've seen in a sitcom.
Yeah.
They are pissed at each other.
Discomforting.
It was a little discomforting. Like, they were, I was actually impressed they went there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a big deal. They are now felons. And so Stephen and Elise are arguing about what to do about Ned. And that she starts in with this story, because once again, they're doing that backtracking of making it all about the brother-sister relationship of her taking care of this immature man. And she talks about Joey Ligretti, that Ned, when they were kids, he had stolen Joey Ligretti's baseball mitt, and she was like, give it back. And he was like, no, he's a bully, and that's why I stole it from him. And so then she marches him over, little Ned, makes him give back the mitt, and then everything was okay. And so she's telling this story to Stephen. And Stephen's like...
Stephen's not really... Yeah.
Yeah, he's not getting it. He doesn't give a shit. And he says something...
he's yelling at Elise.
Yeah. And he says that he's like, you know, one man taking the law into his hands because he thinks he's right. And, but that's what all civil disobedience is.
Yes! It's like, it just blows my mind how they don't get, like, Stephen doesn't get what Ned's doing or have any appreciation for it.
Yeah, zero. And it's so funny because, once again, like, breaking laws that are unjust laws is what whistleblowing is about. You know, think of Chelsea Manning, think of Edward Snowden, think of the Pentagon Papers, that Daniel, oh gosh, what's his name? Daniel, I forget. The Pentagon Papers were what he sent about the Vietnam War, etc., to the New York Times. And and a perfect case in point is that at the time doing that was fashionable. Leaking classified military secrets to the New York Times, that guy was lauded as a hero by the left. And nowadays we have Chelsea Manning in prison, Edward Snowden's in Russia, And because it's not fashionable, those people are demonized by a great segment of the American populace, much like Stephen is doing by misunderstanding Ned's actions.
Right, right. And the fight is so loud that the neighbors call. But
yeah, or not. Yeah, Mrs. What's her name?
Oh God, I don't even have it written down.
Obeck.
Mrs. Obeck. Yeah, yeah. The neighbors have to weigh in. They're being so loud, and and that kind of, I guess, was a little bit of levity because this becomes a scene, and you really see Stephen Elise fighting for the first time.
Yes. And like Mrs. Obeck on the phone, we find out that she agrees with Elise, and
yeah.
and he's
good for you, Miss
like,
Obeck.
I'll close the window next time, and he hangs up the phone. And she's like, she always agrees with you, which is funny. However, it means that they've had other arguments, like yelling fights that we haven't seen, but enough that Mrs. Obeck always agrees with Elise.
Yeah. I think that maybe Stephen Elise needs some counsel therapy.
Yeah, maybe they're not as perfect as they seem to be in all those photo albums.
That's right. I think so. I think, the first topic is there's never enough orange juice, and that really gets them, angry, and they have to work through that.
Yeah. They have so much orange juice because Elise can never run out. Stephen will just fly off the handle.
We discovered that Elise has an OCD hoarding problem because she just keeps buying orange juice.
Right.
That's why they have so much
juice,
food.
Then we'll be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it all comes from. So Mallory and Jennifer run in, and they basically said that Ned is gone, and so is Alex.
Right. Now, this is where I think Corey would have jumped in to say that in that Gary David Goldberg book that he had read, apparently, like, Michael J. Fox was having so much fun working with Tom Hanks in rehearsals that he approached Gary David Goldberg and the writers to say, I want to have a scene with me and Tom Hanks together.
Right.
I feel like because this upcoming scene is so sort of gratuitous that it feels like, and there's a lot of like physical comedy and stuff happening in it, that this seems like a thing that they sort of tacked on later.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think they may have had the premise, but it like you said, it's really gratuitous. It keeps going on and on.
Right.
Yeah. So, Alex takes Ned to the airport, and I'm gonna go along with you, Paul, on these two episodes. Kind of foreshadowed Tom Hanks' career. This reminded me a little bit of The Man with One Red Shoe.
Oh yeah, was it because he had one red hat? Is that why?
Yeah, he had one red hat, just the kind of cloak and dagger look, like he's wearing sunglasses. And Ned actually tries to make a statement to Alex of let's be inconspicuous, and he looks the most conspicuous out of anybody in this scene at the airport.
Oh my God, yeah, Ned looks like the guy in those cartoons where he would go up and flash women in Times Square, like, He's got the hat, he's got on sunglasses and a trench coat, and probably just socks with garters on the bottom. That's probably it.
Today, if you are walking in the airport dressed like that, the TSA is going to run over and tackle you.
Yeah. Well, there's so much going on in this scene that in a post 9/11 world, like Alex is buying tickets and using 3 different names for 4 Neds. Like, I want to go through all of these before we get into the plot of it. Like, first of all, they're at the gate buying tickets. Like, the plane is probably right there, and they are buying tickets. You can't do that.
No.
Okay.
Well, you know what, Paul? I think at one point you could do that.
Oh, no, what I'm saying is, like let's go through all the things in the scene that they're doing that you couldn't do today.
Gotcha.
So buying tickets at the counter.
You're 100%. Can't do.
You can't buy a ticket for someone else.
Nope.
You can't get through security. Like, you have to go through security to even be inside the airport, and they're just like running rampant through the airport.
Right.
They're acting conspicuous, like you said.
Right.
What else? Is there anything else?
I can't think of anything else, but I think you nailed every single one. None of that you could do today.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
so funny you bring that up. I remember, like, because we used to travel up when I was young, about going up to the counter, and you could, just get your tickets there, check in. Check in was so much easier,
Yeah.
not having to wait, going through everything. But yeah, you can't do any of that today,
Now, do you
and no one
always
really can.
can you? Because like when you go in and you check your bags, like when you first get to an airport now, is there are you
Mhm.
able to ever buy tickets, or do you always have to have bought them in advance before you even get to the building?
I think you can buy them there, but you're with online purchasing and stuff. I mean, it's not as likely you're going to be able to get a seat on a plane, because depending on the when you're traveling, uh, it's more of, if you're just trying to get on standby or trying to get a cheap, that's when you buy at the airport, or when
Right.
you would want to. But it's
Right.
so easy today to just buy online, and you're more assured of a seat and get to pick your seat and all that. I don't know many people that actually would, just go to the airport to buy their tickets.
Yeah, that's so crazy to me.
It's such a weird thing. I know. Yeah. Is it weird to think that there was a time where you could, like, openly smoke on an airplane?
Oh my God, yeah, they had a smoking and a non-smoking section because they asked Alex if he's gonna get which one of those,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you're in a metal tube. That smoke is coming across the. It's all gonna
There's
get
no
filled up
point in
with
having a
smoke.
smoking or not. The whole thing is a smoking section. Yeah.
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 Uh, I remember this is a funny story. The first date I ever went on was I was 16 years old. I had just gotten my license, and the Pittsburgh International Airport had opened, and it was like this big mall where it was full of restaurants, and it was huge. It was like the biggest in the country at the time, or something. And this girl was going on vacation with her family, and so she and I met up at the airport before their flight and spent like an hour together having dinner at TGI Fridays.
That was your very first date
Yep.
at a TGI Fridays at
Yeah.
the airport.
Pretty humble beginnings in the dating world.
That's because there's nothing kind of sadder than restaurants at airports.
Or TGI Fridays for that matter.
You Now, whose idea was it? Was it yours or hers?
I feel like it was hers, like that she was like, well, I'm doing this thing where I'll be in the area. Do you want to do this? It was like a weird thing. We had met at a theater camp, and yeah,
Okay.
it was weird.
And how the date go?
Not well. I mean, we had a fine time, but then she left, and it was just like, all right, well, that was awkward and strange. Postscript is, was it like before Christmas? She and I met up with her husband, and we went to a piano bar off Times Square. It was pretty fun. We had a good time.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And so you were at this date. So you were on your first date with this girl, and her parents are just like right down the hall, like at the gate.
exactly. Like they were somewhere else in the airport, hanging out,
Oh,
waiting for their flight, and then their daughter would come back from this non-date that she went on.
oh. So the parents tagged along in a way on the date.
Ugh, so
Oh,
awful.
that's rough. That's rough. That's rough. That's
Yeah.
rough. So I'm just trying to picture. That's so. Dude, what'd you get at TGI Fridays? I hear the poppers there are good.
Oh Jesus! It was 20 years ago, Scott. I don't know what I ate. Ask me what I ate yesterday. I don't even remember that. It was probably
I was
Chipotle.
just
It's all I ever eat.
kidding. Let's get Chipotle to sponsor this show. You
That
eat
would be
enough there.
amazing.
I feel like you eat enough there that they owe you.
That would be gorgeous.
That'd be awesome. We get free Chipotle.
Yeah. So, so in the scene, Alex is trying to get Ned a ticket to Seattle, which is strange. I don't know why he doesn't get a direct flight out of the country. It seems like he's trying to run away to get
Right.
maybe to Canada or somewhere. And then there were all those calls last episode where he was doing Russian accents and stuff. And like we said, we never find out who that conspiracy is with. Like, who is he working with?
No. Who's he talking to? Like, as far as we know, he did this on his own. So
Right.
we have no idea who he's talking to at all. And so, yeah, he's trying to get tickets for Seattle. And there's this whole back and forth bit between Alex and his teacher. Alex and his teacher. Hold on. Holding for editing. Going back to the room. Hey, guys. Holding for editing. I don't have to hang up.
Okay.
We're out.
No worries. More pie footage for you, Paul.
Yeah. What's going on? There's so many classes today.
There's like 6 classes going on right now.
Wow.
I know. It's nonstop on the weekends. Okay, and we're picking back up. So yeah, he's flying to Seattle, which we're thinking he should get out of the country. And there's this whole back and forth. Yeah. Back and forth.
Whatever. But the other thing before that even is that this scene is just like fun little bits all over the place. Like when they walk in there, they're trying to be inconspicuous. This old woman comes up and is like, "Excuse me, do you know how to get to?" And then like they pretend that they don't speak English, but they're speaking in English, and then that's confusing. And then someone yells out Ned, and Tom Hanks jumps, like dead jumps, over a counter, and it's amazing. Just a great physical comedic bit. It gets like an applause that stops the show for a second.
Which I have a theory on that. I wonder because from this point, Michael J. Fox really becomes known as a very physical sitcom actor. And we'll see it in the next episode. He does a great physical bit. I wonder if he kind of took a note from Tom Hanks on that.
Yeah. I mean, he's young enough that he's like, I'll start doing fun, crazy stuff like that. And, he's a very puckish person already. So doing physical stuff seems like a home run.
Yeah, it's like, he's got that Alex P. Keaton slide across the table. That becomes kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just wonder, if he took a note of that. But there's this back and forth between the ticket guy at the counter and Ned, and it's like I said, it gets really gratuitous. It keeps going back and forth of where you want to go, what's your name.
Yeah. So Ned is sitting there reading a paper, and Alex is trying to buy the ticket from the ticket counter guy, and he doesn't know any of the answers to any of the questions, and so he has to keep running back and forth to get the answer from Ned, and then come back to the counter and tell the answer.
Exactly. And eventually, the FBI agent that we have seen in the previous episode that left. Oh yeah,
I feel like there was one other thing where it was a very LA at the time joke where Alex pretends that his name is Alfredo Gomez. Because I feel like at that time in America, there wasn't a lot of like Hispanic or Mexican, especially down in California, culture that was pervasive around the country. So it felt very Los Angeles. It felt very California that they put in, oh, this will be funny that he's pretending to be Mexican, but he's not. It struck me as very odd.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I don't know. Is that shitty? Was that, I don't know. Did you think that too or no?
I just thought it was. I didn't know why they specifically chose that. I just thought they were trying to just be outlandish about it, like the name. Like he's so nervous and everything. They just comes up with the most ridiculous name possible.
Right.
As a punchline, but that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It does feel like a very LA kind of bit. Yeah. So FBI shows up. The agent that left the business card that we saw.
Yes. Columbo Jr. comes in.
Columbo Jr. comes in, and Alex notices him, and there is this, and so he's kind of looking around, and he approaches Alex, and there is this cavalcade of people that walks in between him and Alex as they're talking, and it was just the most ridiculous group of people. Like there's a nun. It looked like the Village People walking in between them. Yeah.
And they're all of like varying heights and builds. Like it looks like those old Addams Family cartoons, like the ones from the New Yorker, where they're all just like, String Pole Lurch and then Little Round Tuesday and stuff, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, it's just like, where are all these people going?
Yeah.
It looked kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of like the movie Airplane, where they had like, the nuns and the different people selling, transcendental meditation in the airport.
Oh,
It's like just this weird group of people at the airport. And so so we think so there's the classic distraction bit of the FBI goes over to what appears to be where Ned was sitting
behind the newspaper.
Behind the newspaper, he rips it away, and it's a nun.
Ta-da! And it doesn't get a great response from the audience because they obviously saw the switcheroo happen. Like they obviously see, the nun is going to sit down, but then when the camera pans over, it's very funny to the studio audience, but it doesn't get the laugh that you would expect. Or I guess it's not that funny, so you wouldn't get a laugh anyway.
Which I was shocked they didn't add in a little canned laughter there to kind of hit it.
Right. Yeah, to sweeten it.
Yeah. And so then we hit back home. And here's the kind of the most ridiculous thing. Ned, a fugitive who has an opportunity to get away, goes back to the Keaton's house.
Yes.
Knowing that the FBI is after him, knowing how close they are, knowing that, he's put Alex in jeopardy now too, big time, heads back to the house.
Yeah. He was worried about Alex, so he's coming to check in on them.
Right. And Elise catches him, and they have this kind of heart-to-heart of Elise basically saying, I can't keep bailing you out. I can't keep covering for you. Because he hears that the FBI is coming up, and he just wants 10 minutes to get away.
Right. Right. And I mean, it's so like in for a penny, in for a pound. 10 more minutes, really, Elise? You're already a felon. Like, what is 10 more minutes?
Just go. Yeah, you're an accomplice at this point. You may as well just go for it. All right. You're not doing anything different that you've been doing for the past episode. Okay, so just commit, Elise. You may as well just help him out. So they go. So the FBI comes in with the president of Centram.
Right.
Who looks like every classic 80s corporate head yuppie.
Yeah, three-piece suit, graying at the temples, that sort of douchebaggy thing. But here's the funny thing, like, the FBI comes in, fine, he's been looking for him for 2 episodes now. Why the hell did he call the president of the corporation? What's that gonna do?
Yeah, what's that gonna do? Why is the president wasting his time on this? Like, he already has the FBI on it. Doesn't he have a multi-billion-dollar corporation to run? Like, the FBI is on. Okay, you found him. Good. Just get him. Arrest him. I don't want any part of this. I'll see you at.
And then my lawyers will sue him. Exactly. Right. Yeah, but it's like, and then like, why did the FBI call? Is our federal government dollars now helping corporations like to help their internal security business? Like, all right, Mr. Peterson, we got him. And he's like, good job.
I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All I can say is it's probably personal for this president. It's a personal thing. This man, coffee was spilt on him, was splashed in his face from Ned. He's taking this personally.
Ooh, good call. Maybe that's it. Maybe it has nothing to do with legal. It's a personal thing. I'm surprised he didn't punch Ned in the face right then and there or throw coffee on him. Yeah. Yeah. And so everyone there, all the Keatons are like, we haven't seen Ned. He's gone. Because when Elise left Ned in the kitchen, he was running out the door. And so then, as they've been saying, you know what? We saw him and we were scared and that's why we lied. And we're sorry about that. And then Ned Donnelly walks into the room.
Ned Donnelly walks into the room, bum, 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 all right, to confront and face the music of what's happening.
Yes. And so,
and
Mr.
Ned,
Peterson's Mr. Peterson's like, Ned, I want a formal apology and the access number, and we will reduce the charges. And Ned's like, nah, you can get fucked.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. I'm not doing it. I'll never give you that. I'll face the charges, but I'm never going to give you that password. And it's so weird because Mr. Peterson says, computer logic for TV. Mm-hmm. The computer can be programmed to crack that code.
Yeah.
And then again, no, I don't think that's possible.
Years.
But it'll take 8 years to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then
apparently Ned knew.
Yeah. So then, like, Mr. Peterson, after like being shitty to the Keatons, like he's like mean to Jennifer, which is the only redeeming thing I saw in the episode for him.
Yeah.
He's like,
I was like, good for you, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, he's like, "I'll see you in the car, Ned," and then he exits out the front door, and it's like, wait, they're all gonna ride together? The FBI, Mr. Peterson, and Ned. They're all gonna like do a little road trip back to the
in the
FBI
same
headquarters.
car. Yeah. What's that car ride gonna be like?
Yeah, that's not gonna be awkward.
That's not gonna be awkward at all. Yeah, Mr. Peterson doesn't have his own car, like that he didn't get a rental or something that he's just gonna drive off in. I gotta give it to Mr. Peterson. He is very hands-on with his company.
Yeah, and he's always trying to save the money. Like, yeah, he's like, I'm sure, like, he got the call, he flew in, probably coach, and then,
Yeah.
and he was like, they're like, FBI's like, we'll take you to a hotel, we'll get you a car. He's like, no, 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 I'll ride with you.
Yeah. He probably has calls coming in. Mr. Peterson, we got that big merger happening this afternoon. No, 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 wait. I got to take care of this Ned Donnelly guy first. The merger can wait.
That coffee pouring son of a bitch.
Justice is going to be done. We're going to get that access code.
So he's gone, and then Ned is saying to Elise, like, the reason I came back was because I thought of Joey LeGrande, and so we go back to the whole story about that. But then we find out that Elise actually beat the hell out of Joey LeGrande after he gave the mitt back. So, ha ha ha, she beat up a guy.
Which kind of, again, a little bit takes the air out of the moral of the story. Like, the only reason that it happened was because Elise interfered again. And, Ned didn't learn a lesson from that.
And so the lesson to be learned, we find out, is when Elise starts beating the hell out of both the FBI agent and Mr. Peterson. Yeah. Just gets him down on the floor and starts opening him up, just like, like a good old-fashioned beaten brawl.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Meredith Baxter Burney throw down with Mr. Peterson.
That would be amazing.
That'd been awesome. Just take him down, like, elbow to the face.
Yeah.
Right. And before Ned leaves, there's like this Wizard of Oz goodbye to each of the kids.
Yeah, totally.
He goes up to Jennifer and gives her like a baseball tip. He goes up to Mallory and says the answer to every algebra problem is always 8.
Yeah.
And he gives, a big hug to Alex and says, remember the greatest thing about business, 2 secretaries.
Yeah. And he gives him a handshake, not a hug, in that weird thing where, remember, like, Steven's dad wouldn't hug Steven?
Yeah. Really out of character. You think Ned would kind of bring him in for a good old hug? They're fugitives. They're fugitives together. Ned has put this whole family in jeopardy.
Back in New York City, like when Ned Donnelly has done so much coke that he can't even see straight, and he's with his buddies out at Studio 54, that they don't give each other a hug. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, if they're at Studio 54 and coke, they probably gave each other more than a hug. But just saying. So Ned is carted off, and Ned will probably be going to jail. I don't see how he gets out of this.
Yeah, they really make it seem like so hopeful, but
he's going to jail.
That's not how it works. Yeah.
No. And if anything, the Keatons are going to be brought in on this too. They harbored a fugitive.
Yeah, and they really sweep that under the rug. Like that, there's not, because they apologize so sincerely to the FBI that everything's going to be fine.
That'd be awesome if that's how this works. The FBI kind of is trying to bust on you, and you just, if you're sincere enough and apologize enough, you're free. Okay, well, we won't press any charges. We see what you were doing. It's okay.
Yeah, this episode should have been called #White Privilege is what it should have been called.
As long as you're sorry enough.
And white enough. You can get away with whatever you want.
The FBI won't press charges.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that wraps up the fugitive story of
let's
Ned
just
Donnelly.
say, even as hopeful as this seems, we might see Ned come back. He might not. He might be a little worse for wear in season 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's we might see him come back. I think we will, and he's going to have some issues. And I hope they acknowledge the fact that it's because he's been in prison.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. But let me just say, it's one of everybody's favorite episodes. So.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's actually a very special episode that I can get behind.
Yes. Yes.
Well, man, that wraps up The Fugitive for us. And Corey, we've missed you.
Indeed. I'm sure the audience missed him too.
I know. There's so the stuff he could have added to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, guys, be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. And for questions and comments, email us at qualitytimeswithfamilyties@gmail.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. You can also follow each of us on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler. And
And
Corey is at CorePep.
And be sure to like us on Facebook. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanboy Comics. Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Be sure to check them out at Fanboy Comics, www.fanboycomics.net. Also, Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the Family Ties theme song Without Us. Check out all her music and performance date at perryadams.com. And also Bryant Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Bryant is president and co-founder of Fanboy Comics. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And lastly, we'd like to thank Sean Foster, Fanboy Comics graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, guys, and we will see you all next week.
Cha-la-la-la.
Bye.
Bye.
We miss you, Corey. Bye.